Hey, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2008 comedy drama film Charlie Bartlett. So this is the anniversary that I am posting this video. This came out, to my understanding, February 22nd, 2008, right? So we are what, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. This is the 15th year anniversary that this film came out in theaters. It's copyright 2007, but I believe the theatrical release February 22nd, 2008. I was 17 years old in high school at that point. I turned 18 the month right after that. And to have the 15 years, man. It's this is the reason why we did this. We're doing this Anton Yelchin marathon. I wanted to do it around this anniversary. This is a big anniversary. I don't have a shirt from this. I don't have a hat. I have no merch. This was a very not talked about project. This has definitely withstood the test of time, minus little gay jokes in the beginning. Characters use the R word at one point. Well, the last half of the R word at one point. But that's the beginning of the film, and you see the progression of the characters realizing that we're one, so it's a we, not me kind of a mindset. Aside from the beginning of the film, this has withstood the test of time, and it's important to reference this. It's important to realize the writing in this is impeccable because of that character development. There's a lot of things within this that are just amazing to begin with, but why this is one of my top 5 favorite films is because of how well this is written, how well the characters evolve. And it's only 90 minutes long. It's 93 minutes long, something like that. So I have my Anton Yelchin Charlie Bartlett tattoo across my chest, cor locator. That is Latin for heart speaks to heart. That is on his crest that he wears in his jacket in the beginning of the film. I was not upset as I thought I would be watching this film. Anton died in 2016, June 2016, and I haven't watched this film since his passing. I watched this constantly, at least 3 times a week, up to his death. And once he died, I could not watch this. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it. Being such a fan of the actor and the person that he was for so long, I couldn't bring myself to watch this. So it's been, what, 7 years since his passing? About almost 7 years. We're coming up on 7 years, 6.5. And I haven't watched this in a long time, but I know every word. I still remember everything. I remember the cues. I remember the size. I remember the exasperations. I remember the facial features. I remember the body language. I've watched this so many times since it came out in 2008. It's astounding how muscle memory just picks back 7 years later. So this is a massive cast in this. This is amazing characters in this. Kat Dennings plays Susan Gardner in this. Anton Yelchin plays Charlie Bartlett. Hope Davis plays Marilyn Bartlett. Robert Downey Jr. plays Mr. Gardner, Principal Gardner for that matter. So it's Nate Gardner. A lot of people are Drake, the songwriter, the performer that we all know and love, who originally started acting. He plays the character A.V. Jones in this. You have different characters in this who have full names. You have Henry Fremont. You have Jordan Sumper. You have Len Arbuckle. You have Whitney Drummond. You have all of these different... you have Murphy Bivens. You have these characters with full names. That doesn't really happen, especially in a high school film. Especially in an R-rated high school film, especially in a 90-minute film. This is a comedy drama film. A lot of parts are hysterical funny, and a lot of parts are very serious. And that's what's important about this, is that it opens a conversation up. This movie is all about talking about mental health. It's talking about suicidal tendencies. It's talking about anxiety. It's talking about depression. It's talking about medication to potentially treat for these things. It's talking about alcoholism. It's talking about nicotine dependence. It's talking about feeling low, and it's feeling high. It's talking about the highs and lows of life in general. It's talking about a kid. It's talking about popularity. It's Nathan Gardner says this line specifically to Charlie. It's when they're talking about how popularity doesn't matter, or it doesn't matter that people like you, kind of a thing. It's a matter of what you do with that popularity that matters. What you do in this life matters. And that's a direct quote. What you do in this life matters, from Robert Downey Jr.'s character. It's very well done. It's very well done. It's talking about injustices. How do you stand up for your fellow people? How do you work together? But going back to what I originally said, having these characters say these gay jokes, having these characters say these things about a character who has a mental disability in the very beginning of the movie changes exponentially once they all start to talk to each other, once they all start to talk to Charlie, once they all start to talk to one another collectively. When Charlie gets kicked out of a private school and he has to wind going back to public school, so he's selling fake IDs. So he goes back to a public school, and he's 17 years old. Obviously, he doesn't know anybody, but he's trying to make friends, and he is then bullied and assaulted in the boys' locker room by Murphy Bivens, alongside Jordan Sumter, who is filming. But then it's a matter of, how do you make the best of the situation you're in? Do you talk to these people? Do you get to the source of why are they mad? Why are they angry? And he practices a speech in the mirror talking to Murph. You know, maybe your pop's got to booze himself up in the morning just to plow roads with a sense of humor. It's amazing to see how he's making the effort to be friends with the people that originally didn't want him to be there and who are bullying him because of who he was. And not that he's changing his own character, he's adapting to the environment, the whole evolve or die, but it's learning the people and talking to the people and the people talking back. So the whole thing with Kip Cromwell, for instance, my mannequin Kip Crawford is a combination name between Kip Cromwell's character in Charlie Bartlett and Chase Crawford, the actor. So Kip Crawford, that's where my mannequin's name came from back in 2010 when I originally got him and named him. So this the whole giving prescription medication to people based off of whatever, you know, they're saying that they're experiencing. He's seeing his own psychiatrist to get medication to then give to them. So that's the big no-no, right? That's the first, like, 2/3 of the film. And that's the second third of the film. Let's put it that way. First third is assimilating, figuring out the water, testing the water. Second third is the prescription drug aspect, and then Kip Cromwell tries to overdose. Well, he overdoses, but he doesn't end his life. So it's a matter of what happens next, right? What happens next? This person was so low that they felt that the only thing that they could do was leave. What happens next? Charlie and Kip have a heart-to-heart. They play video games. They realize that Kip, you know, has been trying to finish a play for all these years and he can't do it, but then he eventually does it. And then they're trying to pass the play on. Hell comes with his own locker. And so Kat Dennings' character is a main character in it. She sings. There's a song at a club that they're all in at one point. A band plays an amazing song. It's not technically a musical, but there's 2 scripted songs in this, so I'm considering it a musical. And it would be a fantastic movie musical, fantastic musical, you know, stage production as well. But figuring out what happens next, figuring out what happens with the student lounge, having security cameras, you know, the conflicts between dating the principal's daughter versus just dating the girl that he likes, kind of a thing. How does he influence people intentionally, unintentionally? Will people still care about him even though he can't give them drugs anymore? The line to his office, which is the boys' bathroom, is massively long. After that whole speech on the pool table that he can't prescribe, but he'll still, you know, have his office hours free of charge if anybody wants to listen. It's character development at its best. And the thing that I noticed with this, actually, and I noticed this years ago, but a lot of the characters are very affectionate with each other. They're very okay with being close to each other physically. So male characters, a lot of the times, like when they sit down next to another friend, they'll put their arm around them, like on the couch or whatever, just as like a natural thing. It's not like, you know, closed off, I like girls kind of a thing. It's not like that. It's just everybody's become comfortable in their own aspect that they naturally just express that comfortability. And it's character development. Murphy Bivens would never do that. Never do that at the beginning of the film when he's shoving Charlie's face in a toilet. And then they have that heart-to-heart, and then they have another heart-to-heart, and Charlie says, you know, Murph, we should have these conversations more often. And Murphy goes, just bite me. And it's hysterical, because then once Charlie makes that announcement, and they all sit on the couch together, you got Jordan, you got Murphy, you got Charlie, and you got Susan, and Jordan just sits down. Not Jordan. Murphy just sits down, puts his arm around Charlie, like just casually, and he says, I'm one of those people, and I'm talking to you." And it's just such great character development. Nate Gardner at the very end, when they're watching Susan perform in the play, when she's singing, he sits down in the theater with Charlie, puts his arm around him as he's, as they're watching Susan sing. And this is moments after Charlie punched him in the face, after he's trying to grab something away from Susan, after there's a whole assault thing, after the whole protest thing. Character development. It brings the conversations of we, not me. And I think that's very important because you don't see that a lot. You don't see that a lot in real life, and you don't see that a lot in media. And to have people go from a me mindset to a we mindset, very rare. And it's very challenging to show that development, especially in such a short film, 93, 97 minutes long, plus credits. So I've always loved this film. I've always been amazed by this film. This is one of my comfort films, despite the fact that how heavy the content is, especially within the mental health aspect of it. But it's very interesting to watch 15 years later after its original, debut, especially because I was 17 in high school when this came out, and these characters are 17 in high school. So these are my people. We dress that way, we talk that way, we had those cell phones. Like, it is what it is, and it's a cool representation of a timepiece now, looking at it now, but it's still a perfect film that not many people A, know exists, B, have any recollection of it, and C, it's so important, especially within the Marvel universe. And I say that because Hope Davis plays Tony Stark's mom, and Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr. To have them all together, Kat Dennings is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe constantly as the character of Darcy. So, what would have happened if Anton didn't pass? If Anton didn't pass in 2016, would he have been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And what character would he have played? I think he would have. I think he would have been. I genuinely think he would have been. It's just so cool seeing how far all of these actors and actresses have gone from this film, especially within the Marvel side of it, especially those big three names right there: Kat Dennings, Hope Davis, and Robert Downey Jr. So it's really cool seeing it, and it's a question of what if Anton didn't pass in 2016? What Marvel character would he have become? Would he have directed a Marvel film? Right before his passing, he was starting to cast a project that he was directing. So it's such a tragedy that such a talented individual was taken from us, and it's just a awful way that he passed. He had breathing problems to begin with, and it's hard watching him in the pool scene, especially in this film with the breathing problems, because he has to choke on water and stuff like that, and he had lung problems, and it must have hurt. It must have physically hurt him to do those scenes, and then to have him be crushed by his own car. It's Chris Pine, not Chris Pine. Yeah, Chris Pine said, I think he said it best in that Love Anton documentary that his parents put together. Just that, like, if this kid had this man had breathing problems, and to have him die the way he died, that he was literally crushed and he couldn't breathe. It's not even poetic. It's just tragic. It's tragic how he passed, and it was all from he had lung problems his entire life, and then that was one of the main focals of his passing, being crushed by his car, not being able to breathe. Terrible. Such a gorgeous individual inside and out, such a talented individual inside and out. I'm very happy we did this. We're doing this review. I still have like four films on my slate of things to watch of his from like before Charlie Bartlett. And there's a bunch of stuff after Charlie that I haven't seen of his, that I was not watching because his passing hurt so much, within watching stuff. So I'm very curious how the other projects are that I haven't seen, revisiting stuff that I have seen. I give credit where credit is due. I always praise talent when talent should be praised. Anton Yelchin was a fantastic artist, and I miss him. Never met him, but I miss him. And that's it. We Not Me. What You Do in This Life Matters. Charlie Bartlett, 2008. Incredible, incredible film. One of my all-time favorite top 5 films. On to the next review. Which mahalo.